your dreams take flight, where minds are boundless, shining bright. Imagine what we can create, innovate, with hearts elate. In the realm of boundless thought, where wonders of the mind are sought, the seeds of change, the sparks of fire, with imagination we aspire. Imagine floating in the skies, a world of marvels, no goodbyes. With wings of dreams, we soar up high, innovating as we touch the sky. A tapestry of thoughts we weave, innovations that make us believe in the magic of what could be, the impact of creativity. With each idea, a new start, an engine for the human heart, the power of minds, uncharted lands, to imagine, innovate, expand. Imagine lands that time forgot, innovate, uncover the lost, the fossils of our history, impact the present mystery. With science as our guiding star, imagine journeys near and far, to galaxies we've yet to see. Innovate space, our destiny. From Newton's apple to the stars, the impact of ideas that mar the boundaries of what we know. Imagine where our minds can go. Innovate to touch the stars, to bridge the gap, no matter how far. With minds aglow, we chart the course and leave a mark that shows our force. Imagine forests lush and green, innovate ways to keep them pristine. The impact of our choices clear on future generations near. With eco-innovation's grace, imagine Earth a better place, where life and nature harmonize, a world where we all empathize. Imagine all the arts can be, innovate and set them free. The impact of creative minds to shape the world in vivid binds. Imagine unity, no divide. Innovate paths where we can stride. The impact of a world at peace, where conflicts cease and hatreds cease. With empathy, we all can thrive. Imagine futures where we strive to innovate a world anew, with love and kindness as our cue. In every heart the power lies, to imagine, innovate, and rise. The impact of our choices great, can shape the world, transform its state. So let us dream and let us dare to imagine, innovate, and care.
It is difficult to say what is impossible, for the dream of yesterday is the hope of today and the reality of tomorrow. This was a quote by Robert Hutchins Goddard in 1904 during his high school speech. He's known as the father of common-day rocketry. Since the dawn of time, imagination has allowed people to form a picture in their minds of things they've never seen nor ever experienced. This has led to thousands, millions of inventions, including space travel. So over the next few days, I want you to imagine. Think of the art of the possible. Open your minds. Don't let any obstacles stand in the way. Now innovate. If imagine is the what, innovate is the how. Often when we think of innovation, we go to technology, but it is so much more. Innovation can be how we interact, how we organize, how we look at processes. So, again, over the next few days, think about innovating in a very different way. And finally, impact. Everything we do, we should be doing with a purpose. Everything starts with I, and I don't just mean these three words. I mean I, you, us, as individuals. So, over the next day and a half, I want you to imagine, think about how you would innovate, and think about the impact that you're going to make a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Deloitte's 26th Shared Services Conference here in Copenhagen. My name is Candice Sieg, and I will be your chair over the next couple of days. So I want to welcome everybody here in person, to all our delegates online around the world, and of course, our fantastic lineup of speakers over the next few days, our incredible sponsors who make this event possible. Please do make sure you get to see them over the next few days, and all our partners who have helped us with this incredible event. So, what a pleasure it is to host you all in Copenhagen. What an incredible city. Vibrant, very bicycle-friendly, great atmosphere, mixture of architecture between old and new. And where would we be without the Nordics? They invented the paperclip, Spotify, the Celsius thermometer, and even oat milk. And so the list goes on. So, before we get into it, I would like to introduce our country host to the stage, Jens Sorika.
Thank you, Candice. Velkommen alle sammen. Dejligt at se så mange velkendte ansigter. No, we won't do the rest of this in Danish, because that's not going to work. Welcome, everyone, to my hometown of Copenhagen. My name is Jens Sønderkjær. I am the Deloitte leader of GBS services in the Nordics, and I have the pleasure of hosting you these days. Now, Denmark is a relatively small country, so we're really not in a position to claim the leadership of shared services and outsourcing. We only have a few bigger cities, and our cost structures simply don't fit being a shared services destination. However, we have something very different. We have iconic company brands who've actually been, over the years, showing what Denmark can do to the rest of the world. And why is that? Well, I believe it's because the Danish business culture has actually created innovation, creativity. It's full of highly skilled and well-educated employees. But maybe most importantly, we're known for being patient, and we're known for family ownership of many corporates. I think this is some of the ingredients of creating a stable environment to actually grow and develop companies. And some of them have taken it from being very small to very large. Just think of some of the iconic brands that I feel, Maersk, Novo Nordisk as examples. These companies will be here today to share their stories on this exact stage. They were founded by entrepreneurs on a great mission many, many years ago. And for many years, they were driven by a dedicated family who wanted to push them forward. So through dedication and courage, and yes, a lot of hard work, they've actually become truly global powerhouses within their own industries. And that's something to be proud of as a Dane. But you might ask, how does this actually relate to shared services and outsourcing? Well, what characterizes these companies and many others in the Danish business society is that they've been able to adopt shared services and outsourcing into their operating model. But they've done it in their own way. They've refined their own interpretation of what GBS means to them. Not so much for the sake of driving costs down, of course that's an element, but much more to build a resilient and global operating model that fits the future firm they're leading. And they've done this while retaining the Danish leadership culture. And I think that's the secret sauce of being an attractive employer all around the world. And finally, they've been able to make an impact that matches through what they've done. Now, coming from a small country like Denmark, you of course need to embrace the outside in order to grow and evolve. This is why diversity and inclusion is a cornerstone in our leadership behavior in Denmark. I won't claim that we are where we want to be, definitely not, but we are learning. And over time, we'll get there. And I actually see some Danish leaders today making big steps in the right direction. We need to keep on going and we need to go fast. Now, coming to Copenhagen, we of course would like to show you what the city is all about. This is why we've chosen, in my view, a fantastic location for the evening event. The Langelinje Pavilion is an iconic building in Copenhagen, close to the Royal Castle, close to the Opera, and many other iconic buildings in the Danish cities, in the Copenhagen city center, some of them dating many hundreds of years back in time. Seen from the outside, the Langelinje Pavilion is a relatively basic structure, modern in its view. But when you enter the building, you will see some of the fantastic furniture and designs that Danish architects have been making for many, many years. My personal favorite is the lamps that you will see when you enter the building. They were actually created by a Danish designer called Poul Henningsen many years ago for that exact building, and they now are seen all over the world. And finally, Langelinje Pavilion is only a couple of minutes away from the famous Little Mermaid, which some of you might know. It's a statue that Copenhagen is very famous for. So all in all, I'm looking forward to also welcoming you tonight to the Langelinje Pavilion. Have a fantastic conference these days.
Thank you so much, Jens, and for kindly hosting this year's conference. I trust you've all tried the food. I've heard that from so many people, that the food has been just incredible in Copenhagen, and I think the most Michelin stars of any one city in the world, so it's quite an accolade. To be of use to the world is the only way to be happy. This is the quote from Copenhagen's most famous author, Hans Christian Andersen. It's so beautiful and so eloquently put. And when I think about my happiness, it has been when I've been successful, achieved something that has changed an organization, changed lives for the better, and made an impact. But I don't do that alone. I have an incredible team. Teams are made up of many personas, cultures, skills, talent. They are dreamers, designers, and doers. And together we make an impact with organizations such as yourselves here today. So, Speaking of team members, I'd like to welcome one of my key team members now, our studio host, Kalyani Kumaran.
Hi Candice, what an absolute honour it is to be this year's studio host, so thank you.
Kalyani, it's an absolute pleasure. It's wonderful to have you. We introduced the studio just coming out of COVID when we were still concerned about travel, and it was an absolute success, so much so we actually won Best Hybrid Event in the world that year. And so we thought, what a fantastic addition, and it has now a secondary and even more important reason, is sustainability. People can now watch the conference around the world and on demand in days later. In fact, we had 65,000 viewings last year, so it's just a fantastic addition, really inclusive, and of course does save the planet on additional air miles. So Kalyani, what are you most looking forward to this year?
Well, we have so many exceptional speakers, but of course, real-life astronaut Tim Peake, can't wait for that tomorrow morning. And I got to be honest with you, Candice, I didn't think that there would be a particularly strong link between shared services and space. But hey, if anyone's imagination can go there, it is absolutely yours, Candice. So anyway, we have over 1,000 delegates here. Gosh, we are absolutely packed in this room today. And we also have individuals and teams joining us from across the world. And for them, the studio will be providing a continuous live stream. And they won't miss a thing. In fact, they're going to get a little bit more. We're going to be featuring speaker Q&As, sponsor conversations, and spotlights on key topics like sustainability, neurodiversity, and of course, well-being. The content today is going to be available after the event on demand, so you can catch up on any sessions you might have missed or share those you found particularly interesting with your colleagues. Now, the preparation for this year's event started even before we had even finished in Lisbon last year. Right now, there are hundreds of people from Deloitte and, of course, our partners working tirelessly behind the scenes. Yesterday, I went to take a look around at everything we have to offer at this year's conference. So here we're in the Innovation Lounge. It is full of lots of interactive things that we can play with. We've got stuff on generative AI, massive hot topic. Analytics as a service, a key capability area for GBS organizations today. We've got the metaverse, talking about unlimited reality. And over there is our stage, which will have lots of speakers. So here we are, setting up our expo area. Of course, this conference doesn't happen without our incredible sponsors. So if you are here in Copenhagen today at conference, do come here, have a coffee, have some lunch, and take your time to have a word with our sponsors. So here we've got our technical production team. We've got James, who's the studio director. We've got our cameras, one of 4 that cover the main plenary stage. We've got Charlie, the studio producer, Leah, who's on my best friend, the auto cue. And then finally, we've got the studio lighting folks. And this is what we're all gearing up for. The main stage, the Deloitte green dot. This is where our speakers are going to be. This is where all the action is going to happen at the Deloitte Shared Services Conference 2023 in Copenhagen. Can't wait to get started. So as you can see, the scale of this conference is incredible, and it is an amazing collaborative effort. Lots of people working together to make something incredibly special. Now, we also have an absolutely brand new aspect to this conference, the Innovation Hub. Here you're going to find some of our amazing sponsors sharing their insights, with sessions taking place during all of the breaks, and as well as knowledgeable boards on hot topics from generative AI, metaverse, sustainability. Honestly, I encourage you all to take a look. It is absolutely something. And of course, we have an app. The Workforce X app is your one-stop shop for the conference in the palm of your hands. Now, it includes a full agenda, which you can personalize based on the sessions you want to attend. You've got your own unique QR code, which other delegates can scan to form new connections, and of course a forum to ask speakers questions and more. Candice, would you like to see the app in action?
I would love to, Kalyani.
So I was thinking about the dreamers, designers, and doers you were just talking about. Now, my favorite thing about attending conference is meeting a variety of people. So I thought we could use the app to identify the mix of dreamers, designers, and doers we have with us today, in keeping with the tagline of the conference, Imagine, Innovate, and Impact.
I love it. And knowing our audience is like knowing our customers, which is what we're all about.
Okay. All right, I want everyone in the audience to get their phones out and head to the conference app. Select opening icon in the homepage. Do you have that open, Candice?
I do, but I just realised I got Carrie's phone.
Is it not recognising your face? Well, hopefully everyone's got their own phones. So, fantastic. Now, what you'll see here is 3 personas. And I invite the audience to read the descriptions on the screen and take the survey at the bottom once you've identified which you feel most associated with. Now, my advice, don't overthink it, go with your first instinct. And once you have submitted your persona, I want everyone to rotate their phones 90 degrees and hold them up for everyone to see. Now, I went for designer. What about you, Candice?
Well, it was a really hard choice because I feel like there's a bit of all of this in me. But as it turns out, I went for designer too. So we're like 2 peas in a pod.
There we go. And what do we have in the room?
Yeah, let's see everyone's. Hold it up. There we go. Upside down. Oh dear, loading. There's a lot of loading going on.
Well, I really look forward to meeting everyone over the next 2 days. That's it for now. Back to you, Candice.
Fantastic. Definitely quite a mix in the room for those of you who did manage to get them up. So, thank you, Kalani, and we will see you again later. So why are we all here? We're here to talk about shared services. GBS has many different words to it or for it, but all really means the same thing, right? It's an organizational construct there to support the business. And we're passionate about shared services and GBS. The other day, I was giving a speech at Rolls-Royce, and somebody said to me, why do we do GBS? And I thought, that's such a great question, because we always take it for granted. But I think it's good to be reminded. And today I just want to talk a little bit about the why, the what, and the how. So, when we think about why we do GBS, there's the obvious: cost transformation, cost reduction, end-to-end process standardization, efficiencies. Career paths offers fantastic career paths, the ability to co-locate, the use of shared technologies and tools. But of course, there's even a bigger reason: sustainability. It is one of the most sustainable models. One set of infrastructure, less travel, and so the list goes on. And don't just take my word for it. Here is some of the value generated by GBS from our latest Shared Services Conference, issued just a few months ago. This is a collective of over 500 organizations globally. And there you can see the standardization, efficiency of processes, driving business value as some of the leading reasons. But some new entrants there, driving customer experience, so important. And I think this is something GBS leaders have really struggled to embrace over the last few years. And my favorite, promote ESG. So new entrant, 11% of you are saying that that is an objective you have realized from GBS, and that number is just going to grow. So if that's why, over the last few years, I've been talking about the what. So what is your operating model? What is your North Star? And you would have heard me speaking about the center office. 5 years ago, this was a fairly new construct, and the central office is really about taking shared services and GBS closer to the business, to be the center, the heart of the organization. Not literally, but obviously to share objectives that the business do. And it's made of 3 components: end-to-end services or processes, so going truly end-to-end, and I talk about the functionally agnostic core, and we're now really seeing that come to life. And more organizations are asking us, what else? Go way beyond the traditional finance, HR, IT. Those are given, that's table stakes. But we're going into other areas, manufacturing, R&D. And when you break down that function, you break down the process, there is so much more that you can take out and put into a collective. And there's a secondary element to that, capabilities as a service. When we create shared services, by default, we create capabilities such as project management, transition management, change management. We sit on a heap of data, technologies, capabilities. And so we are seeing a huge rise in GBS leaders offering capabilities as a service. In fact, it's the thing I'm doing the most at the moment with my clients. And it's really exciting. Think about how much your organization spends on project managers, on PMO, on change management. It's usually, dare I say, expensive consultants, contractors. They're there for a project, they leave. Imagine if you could build that capability near shore. Same set of tools, building relationships. They speak the language of your organization, and GBS organizations more and more providing this type of capability. And then finally, experience. All of this needs to happen with a good customer-employee experience, something we've really neglected as GBS leaders, but now that is changing. And that's not just about putting a beautiful, shiny tool over the top, although tools like ServiceNow and Solaris obviously are extremely attractive, but also what is the capability around it? What are the processes around it? What's the interaction model? So, that experience is important. Another element of experience we spoke a lot about yesterday is brand. What is the brand of your GBS organization? How is it perceived in the business? Really, really important. And hopefully a lot of you attended the brand workshop yesterday to understand that. And we're going to hear from some fantastic GBS organizations over the next few days that have really nailed the brand. So if that's the North Star, and like I said, we've been talking about this for about 5 years now, what our survey is saying is that you are starting to implement this, and we are working with a lot of clients who are looking at their shared services organization, GBS organization, in this manner. And here are the stats. So 47% of you say ESG is a priority, building that capability into your GBS organization. 53% have implemented end-to-end processes, or at least have put end-to-end process ownership, and a further 32% are planning to. And of course, 67% are developing experience capabilities. So it is happening, it is coming to life. Next-gen capabilities, this is just fantastic. I mean, this is a very, very different picture to what we would have had 5 years ago. And what you see, those capabilities that are developed on the left, are not just for GBS. Yes, GBS for GBS, but GBS for the business. Those capabilities offered back to the business. So a different, very different type of service. I was speaking to Johnson & Johnson in the States a few months back, and GBS was at the heart of their spin-off, as well as Kellogg's, actually. So many organizations are now looking to GBS to help them with their M&A integration, spin-offs, etc. So, if that is your North Star, your what, your operating model, how are you going to deliver it? What does your delivery model look like? Delivery models are also changing at a speed I've never seen before. And when we talk about delivery models, For me, they're made up of many components. Most organizations go, I'm going to do a captive center or I'm going to outsource. It's usually single function, and over time that moves out. But the reality is, our partners are different, vendors are different, functions are different, our maturity is different, our cultures are different. What we're seeing that really works are organizations that are adopting a hybrid model and being very selective and strategic around what is outsourced, what is kept in-house, what capabilities you build, where you put them, who you work with. And here you can see an example of our survey, which says, for example, finance, 90% of you have financing captive, but at the same time, 44% also have some sort of outsourced arrangement. And when we talk about outsourcing, it doesn't just mean a large BPO single function outsource. It can be niche managed services, payroll, tax, RPO, recruitment process outsourcing, and more recently, operate, or BOTT as we've coined it, build, operate, transform, and transition. Give it to someone, help them transform it for you, and then take it back, ready to go. So this is the balanced ecosystem that I think the world is moving to. And clients aren't scared anymore to move between different delivery models, moving between outsourced providers, if it's not working, taking something back in-house, moving it around, of course, in a very controlled way. But it's quite commonplace now. We've got very, very strong at transition and how you manage those. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what that could look like. So as I said earlier, hybrid models seem to be very effective. Most organizations still try and go for a global center for anything that is quite close to automation or automated, lights out processing as we call it, but also those centers could also be a pool for rich talent to offer data and analytics, as an example. I'll just call out some of these locations here. So again, location strategy is really, really changing. Clients would always come and want the cheapest labor arbitrage saving. That's not happening anymore. They still want low cost, of course, but they want to make sure that the country they're going to marries the values of their organization. 2 organizations I've worked with recently decided against the location and instead opted for Western Europe because of the LGBTQ+ values of that country. So a real change then, a real shift in how people look at locations. And of course, what long-term capabilities they want to build there. We've recently set up a center in Lisbon, 16 functions, 4 net new, and they are capability builds back to the business. And that's a tier 2 GBS. We see a rise in Egypt again. So a lot of shared services going there. We've got South Africa. Apparently, we've got very neutral accents, in case you didn't realize. Mine was. We're quite good from a time zone perspective. This is for my South African partners in the audience. But also a lot of skills, technical accounting, and you see a lot of customer service organizations there too. Portugal and Spain still very strong. The Baltics have come up. You'll see a lot of the investment agencies here today. Do go and speak to them about their locations. It's a really exciting time to be looking at locations. Some new ones coming up. I recently got contacted by the Spanish Minister of Foreign Affairs to go to the Canary Islands. I'm like, I'm there. That's a great business trip. But if you think about it, I mean, it would make a great first-time buyer, so to speak. You get that competitive advantage, but good talent, ease of doing business, why not? So, to my point earlier, think differently. It's all about innovation. So, just to say that we need a diversity of thought and capability that underpin this, and of course technologies. And that thought, the new challenges for dreamers, doers, and designers. So going back to what I said right at the beginning, it is difficult to say what is impossible. For the dream of yesterday is the hope of today and the reality of tomorrow. Discover your North Star, whether that is your greater GBS organization, whether it's your team, whether it's some smaller construct. Strengthen your capabilities and look at new and different capabilities to support the business and drive value. Build a balanced ecosystem and don't be scared to try different things. And finally, never stop innovating and do everything with purpose. Thank you.